Hello, collectors. Welcome to another edition of Five Cards That Every Collector Should Own. I am your host once again, John, the 3D 80s Kid, and I have invited three awesome collectors to join me for what is going to be a special episode of this program, as these guys are all focused primarily on vintage football cards. So we'll be seeing something different from the usual fare. So stick around and check it out.
Welcome to Four Collectors.
All right, so again on this episode, I have set the criteria as follows. These are five cards in this person's collection that the first four are restricted to be where they should be around $100 or less for someone else watching this to be able to go out and purchase. And then our fifth card is going to have no price limit. It is, theoretically what we're viewing that as is the card that is worth saving up for, type of thing. So, once again, this program, if you want to be on a future episode, you are welcome. Email me at fourcollectors@yahoo.com. It is FOUR collectors, all smushed together at yahoo.com. And you'll get in my queue and be on a future episode of this program. I welcome everybody out there who is a true collector that has a passion for their cards that wants to share them with others. So let's bring on that first guest here. We have got from a newer YouTube channel, Lefty Groveland Cards. Welcome, Jeremy.
What's up, John? Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Happy to bring anybody who is willing to put themselves out there and be a part of this. So everybody, the link to his channel will be in the description down below. Please go check him out. He is new to the community and needs more subscribers. So, thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Welcome to have you. Up next, does not have a channel yet, but hopefully this is kind of the kickoff to maybe starting up something, and that would be Justin here.
Hey, John, what's going on?
Oh, great to have you, Justin. I am doing great. So that is your IG. If anyone is on Instagram, you can reach out to him at VintageFB52. And it's a YouTube channel to be named later at this point.
That's the hope. I even picked out the name, as silly as that sounds, because I do boxing as well. So Gridiron Punches is going to be the name of it if it ever happens. I just need fewer toddlers running around the house, but I'm, love doing this stuff, love talking with you guys. And so appreciate the opportunity to come on.
All right. Great to have you. Hopefully we'll get to see your first YouTube video soon. So
thanks, John.
All right. Last but not least, you might be familiar with this guy, just maybe. And it is Graig over at Midlife Cards. Welcome, Graig.
What's up, man? Thanks for having me. I'm honored to be included with these guys to talk football cards, which I love. So.
Well, that's why I specifically brought you on, because I knew you had a passion for those, and there's not a lot of folks in our community who do, but yeah. Welcome back to Four Collectors.
Well, thanks.
All right. So with that, if you want to talk a little bit about your channel before you show your first card, Justin, that would be great. And you are going to be up first here. And I will switch our viewpoint with this and give you the big screen. All right, Justin.
Cool. Thanks, John. I'm Jeremy.
Jeremy, sorry.
That's okay, John. We just met. A little bit about the channel. I started it in December. I was doing a lot of Googling, whatever, on vintage football cards and noticed there wasn't a lot out there. I got started in it about 3.5, 4 years ago. And I just figured, what the heck? Let's give it a shot. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just turning the camera on and talking and showing off cardboard. So that's pretty much what I do with my channel. I do a little bit of pop report breakdowns and stuff like that too. So everybody can see how little there is of vintage football cards compared to baseball. It's striking how little there is. So for my first card, I'm kind of going with a fantasy football theme here. Quarterback, running back, wide receiver, and defense. My first card is a Hall of Famer. All these guys are Hall of Famers. And this is a quarterback from 51 Bowman that you can get for $100. And that is Van Brocklin. Now mine's graded a 2. It's visually gorgeous, but it does have a little crease in it that you kind of have to tilt the right way to see it, but it's there. I paid $80 for this, delivered to my door. You can get a PSA 3 for about 100, 105. Van Brocklin still holds the NFL record for most passing yards in a game, believe it or not. He set that in 1951.
Didn't he spend a little bit of time at the 49ers at the end of his career, Greg?
You know, I don't remember that. That's right about when Y.A. Tittle was around. So I don't know. It's very possible.
Yeah, Van Brocklin ended his career with Philadelphia.
Okay, I was confused then. All right, nice first choice out of the gate there. Beautiful card.
Thank you.
All right, Justin, you're up for next.
Hey, John. I don't have a channel yet, like you said, but am active on IG and actually was on Jeremy's channel once to talk football cards. So if anyone has an hour and a half of time, check that one out. We really droned on, so that might be scary for what's
we did.
But so my kind of thematic approach to the cards I picked is I tried to pick some cards that I think people should have in a football collection, but maybe they wouldn't be as familiar with them if they were more into other sports or maybe just kind of getting into vintage football cards. So I've tried to pick some guys that have a bit of historical significance in some cases too, because as vintage collectors, we're nerds at heart and we all love history. So I think that sort of thing kind of helps the card have some extra meaning to us. So with that said, my first one is this 1948 Bowman Kenny Washington rookie. And if anyone's sitting there wondering who the heck is Kenny Washington and why is Justin putting up a card of a player we've never heard of, Kenny Washington is the individual who in 1946 was the first African-American to sign a professional football contract following a 12-year ban of African-American players, which was instated in 1933. So he signed with the Rams. The Rams largely signed him because they were going to lose their lease on their stadium because the LA community didn't want to pay taxes on a stadium where African-American taxpayers were paying for it but didn't have players represented. So in response to that, they signed Kenny Washington. Did not have an incredibly significant pro career, but is in the College Football Hall of Fame. And actually one of his teammates in the backfield, he was a running back, one of his teammates in the backfield at UCLA was a guy named Jackie Robinson, who I think may have had some significant impact in baseball about a year after Kenny Washington signed with the Rams. So he has a Bowman and a Leaf card, but the Bowman one right here, I got this in a 2. This is about $90 in a 2. And I think, very reasonable price for a guy who I think is historically important. And, I actually really like the look of the card too. It's one of those cases where I actually like his 48 Bowman better than 48 Leaf myself. So that's my first one, and that's kind of the reason behind it.
All right. Nice pick.
Thank you.
All right, Greg.
Now, first off, I'll say those are both awesome cards. Marion Motley from that year is a card that's been high on my list for a while. And I'm still waiting for the right one. I haven't bought it yet.
Can't quite get him for $100, sadly.
Yeah, but in like a 3, a 2, it's not crazy. I mean, it's still very affordable.
Right about 150-ish.
Yeah, the theme that I'm kind of going with is some of the all-time greats, their second, third, fourth cards are crazy affordable. And so I went with Jim Brown for my first one. Now, this card is his third card, the 1960 Topps Jim
Gorgeous.
Brown. I like it because, well, first of all, it's a cool picture of him. His rookie card is one where it's a cool picture, but it's not really that tight of his face.
Right.
And then his second card is somewhere in between the full action shot and this. This is like the first one where you can really get a good look at him. And this card, I comped everything to make sure I was not breaking the rules. This is a 4, which first of all, I don't know how this is only a 4.
That's beautiful.
But in a 4, this last sale was $72. So
Yeah,
Jim
crazy.
Brown's
Holy cow.
third card, 1960, $72 in a beautiful 4. So that is one of my favorite images of him on a card, and very affordable. I mean, just imagine what was a 1960 Mickey Mantle or Hank Aaron or Willie Mays. I mean, this is Jim Brown's third card. Crazy.
Yeah, exactly. It's crazy how inexpensive vintage football is.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, gorgeous card. All right, so I'm not really a vintage football collector, but I decided to try to play along at least with the football cards I do have at the ready. I guess I had a quick question for you guys. Well, in baseball, they consider 1980 and before vintage at kind of the spot, with Fleer, Donruss, then suddenly as companies. Does that mean vintage football is later because it was still only Topps until like 89, or
I consider 1980 the cutoff personally. That's just me though.
In the vintage football card group I'm in on Facebook, and the one that I do our kind of chat room or whatever, 89 is the cutoff. But I don't know. I think the reason 89 is the cutoff is because we can't think of a substantive reason to cut it off sooner. I think Jeremy's probably more close to correct, but 89, like you said, is kind of generally the cutoff because that's when the sets changed to more than just the tops. So,
well, there you go.
I mean, for me, it's more about when mass production happened. Mm-hmm. And to me, in vintage football, 84 is pretty common. Like you go to a dealer that has a lot of vintage football, and you're going to see a lot of Roger Craigs and some of those types of guys when you're looking. But if you go before that to like 81, 82, it's a lot narrower. A lot of 85s, a lot of 86s, a lot of 84s, a lot of 87s. That's when it really got crazy. But,
yeah. All right. Just out of curiosity. Well, by the 89 definition, these are all vintage. So there we go.
Perfect.
All right. For my first card, I'm going to dedicate it to all Dallas Cowboy fans out there. It was the biggest single moment in the history of my favorite team that this guy was involved with. And it occurred during the first year that I actually watched football. And so I was spoiled into the fact that I thought, wow, so my team gets to go to the Super Bowl just every year I watch football? Is that how it works? It did not turn out that way, but, we went through some pretty good years. And I've got the Dwight Clark rookie card from 81 Topps here.
Yeah, the catch.
Very cool.
I got mine.
Yeah.
Nice.
Niners.
Twins.
Here you go, Cowboy fans. And this card, in this grade can be had for less than the cost of grading if you find it already graded for about $10.
$10 for a 7? That's incredible.
Yeah.
For Dwight Clark, yes.
Wow.
So good choice.
There we go.
Yeah, very nice.
All right.
Yeah, that raw copy I just held up, I think I bought for $2 at a card show.
All right.
Oh, looks like I'm up. Justin, you're going to know what this card is.
By you saying that, I already know what it is.
I talk about this all the time on my channel. This is not even close to my most expensive card, but it's in my top 5 of my most favorite cards. I'm just going to show it, and I'm going to explain why. This is the 56 Topps Lenny Moore. The reason I love this card so much is you can get it for about $100. I did pay up for this one because of the centering. Because of where this card was on the sheet, finding these centered left to right and up and down is almost impossible. If you go to eBay now, you'll see ones that are graded higher. But the eye appeal is not even close to this one. I took the loop to this again today, and I still don't know why it's a 5. And frankly, I don't care that it's a 5. But anyway, Lenny Moore is a Hall of Fame running back. Baltimore and Colt fans know him. He was with the Colts his entire career. I think he made 9 Pro Bowls. Hall of Famer, I think, in 1971. So yeah, that card can be had for right around $100 in a PSA 4.
Gorgeous color on that one.
Yeah, it's absolutely stunning. I talk about it way too much. Way too much.
Oh, it's worth talking about. All right. Justin, you're up.
All right. Yeah, right when I saw that Jeremy was the other collector that was going to be on here, I knew I couldn't bring out the 56 Topps anymore because I knew he was going to cover that one. So we already had 151 Bowman card, but this is a beautiful and iconic set, so I don't mind showing another. This is the 51 Bowman Emlyn Tennell rookie card. And Emlyn Tennell, in addition to this being like a really, really cool looking card, in my opinion, he's got a cool story. When he retired, he was the all-time NFL leader in interceptions. I think he's still second behind Paul Krause. He played safety and he was a return specialist. Played most of his career with the Giants. But actually later career, he went with Vince Lombardi when he took the job with the Green Bay Packers. And Lombardi sort of used him as the guy who taught the younger Packer players the defense. He was a very smart player, very talented player, and actually was the first African-American inducted into the Professional Football Hall of Fame. And also he served in World War II and saved 2 people's lives in the Coast Guard as well. So just all around cool story, very interesting. There's more to it than we have time to cover, but if you're interested, he's fun to Google. He's got a cool story. I think this card is beautiful. I want to make Jeremy very angry potentially here and say this is my second favorite card in that set behind the Landry. I actually think this is the best card you can get in there for 100 or less. Even I like it a little bit more than the Van Brocklin, even though I like that one too. This and the 3 is right about at $100. This is not the best looking from an eye appeal perspective on the 3, but I got this one raw for like $30. So for what I paid, I'm quite happy with it. But yeah, right around $100 to get a 3 in that.
Yeah, Justin, you're not going to make me mad. That's the beauty of this is, there's nothing wrong with any of those cards. And 51 Bowman it's either that or the 50 are my favorite sets of the 50s. It's one of the two.
They're both gorgeous. And yeah, I love the Van Brocklin too. And I go back and forth, but man, there's just something about that pose in the Tennell card that I really love personally.
Yeah.
Well, the artwork on all those is gorgeous. I mean, I love the 51 and 52 Bowman baseball sets, which have similar style artwork. So those are
interestingly
awesome.
enough, John, the 51 Bowman baseball and football both suffer from, I don't know if you've ever noticed, like on the Whitey Ford, for example, there's oftentimes a print line running across it. It's the same thing with 51 Bowman football. You see it on a lot of the cards. So they obviously use the same facility, I guess, to print those. I don't know, but
same printing press, probably.
Yeah.
All right, good job there, Greg.
So 50 Bowman, 51 Bowman, 57 Topps are all to me in the conversation of best sets in the 50s. But another set that I absolutely love, like love, is the 55 Topps All-American set.
Oh, there you go.
Yep.
And this is the autogram. Now this one might be cheating because it usually sells for maybe $125, but I bought this one for $100 about a year ago. So I'm saying it counts because that's what I paid for it. Just for an example of what others look like, here's a Sammy Baugh. It's just an awesome set. And a lot of these guys, it's not just the players that were playing at that time. It's a lot of players that played years before, like Newt Rockne and stuff. And so a lot of those guys don't have many cards. So it's this set that's almost like this all-star set. And the one of the cool things about it is that it's in their college All-American days. So, it's got Sammy Baugh at TCU, and, we got Northwestern for Otto Graham. And I just think this is an awesome set. And I think that if I were to build a vintage football set, it might be this set. I just think it's gorgeous.
It's funny about that set that you mentioned that it's, in the college uniforms and stuff, because actually the reason for that is Topps didn't have an NFL license in that year. Bowman had the 55 NFL license. So, but it was brilliant what Topps did, because, for example, Don Hudson, who played back in the 20s and 30s, but retired before the National Chickle set came out in 1935. Or wait, was it, or either that or he started, sorry, I misspoke. He started playing in, I think, 35. So he didn't have a card in the Chickle set, and then retired, I think, in like 46. So he didn't have a card in the 48 Leaf set. So his rookie card is the college flashback card in 55 Topps All-Americans. So it's a really neat kind of unique set.
That's a very expensive card.
The Hudson in high grade, but you can actually get in like a 2.5 or a 3 for under $200. So not bad for that card.
That is a short print. They're tough to find.
All right, John, it's all you, brother.
Oh, yeah. So I'm going to, with this one, let's dedicate this one to Brad 8671 and Miami Dolphin fans. Because this would be a guy who was the first one to set the record for 3 touchdowns in a Super Bowl, which he did in Super Bowl 19 against those Miami Dolphins. And he's high-stepped his way from Nebraska over to the 49ers, and that would be Hall of Fame snub, Roger Craig, first man with 1,000 season. I believe 4 Pro Bowl selections, multiple years of leading the team in receptions, despite, having some spectacular wide receivers on the team.
It's criminal that he's not in the Hall of Fame.
Agreed.
Absolutely.
He is my childhood favorite player, and he signs through the mail and sends it back almost immedately. Like, sent from the time it leaves your house to the time you get it back, it's like a week and a half. And he signed. He's just an awesome signer.
And I think this card in a grade like this is maybe $20, $25, something.
Oh, max,
like that. So, sometimes less if you can find one that's actually put up in an auction.
That's a really well-centered copy too. That looks really good.
Yeah. So I was patient to get a centered one because I know the 84 set's not great with that. So
there's my autoed one, John.
Cool.
That's awesome. I didn't know you guys were both 49ers fans. I knew Greg was. I didn't realize you were as well, John.
He grew up down here.
Yeah, I grew up in Northern California. So, all right, let's get Jeremy back up there.
Okay, we talked about the 1957 top set a little bit. This card is from that set. This guy was Johnny Unitas' #1 guy to throw to. When he retired, he had the record for most receptions and most receiving yards. And that is Raymond Berry. I'm all in on this card for about $60.
Jeez.
Wow.
The issue with 57 tops, a lot of time there's snowing on the face. This one looks pretty good. There's some stuff on here on the border that kind of knocks it down, but the eye appeal on this is pretty good. And Raymond Berry was a tremendous player. And as I said, when he retired, he was the #1 receiver in all of football history. So for
position-wise, wasn't he a tight end too?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Didn't he actually play tight end as a position, or was he a wide receiver?
Flanker back then, or end. And John Mackey was the tight end in Baltimore for a number of years.
Because I know he was kind of bigger than most wide receivers in that day, but All right. A gorgeous card. So we got Baltimore Colts again. Are we going to be seeing Unitas maybe later? Is that where we're headed? All right. Justin.
So I promised Jeremy and I did not sit here and coordinate sets exactly, but we do seem to have some of the same taste because I'm going to go 57 tops here as well. And I'm going to go with Mr. Dick Night Train Lane. He is one of the defensive legends of pro football. He was the all-time, he still is actually, has the record for most interceptions in an NFL season. He had 14 interceptions in 1952. He also is the reason the clothesline tackle is banned in the NFL. That was his signature move, is he tried to take people's heads off. And I read once that a reporter asked him why he did that. He said, well, if I hit them low, they could fall forward. If I use the clothesline, they're not going anywhere. So he played corner, but he had a very different attitude than a lot of corners that you might see in the NFL today. He was known as being one of the most aggressive hitters in NFL history. And he was played bulk of his career with the Detroit Lions, which is my team. So I had to get a Lions guy in there. Gorgeous card. I just, same with Greg and Jeremy. I love this set. This one's in a 4. This is like $50. You can get a 5 in this and still most of the time stay under 100, which I think is just for, a guy who's an all-time 100-year, 50-year anniversary team guy, like Dick Night Train Lane. That's a heck of a deal.
Oh yeah, super cheap. And when you got rules made because of you, then
it always adds to the mystique.
Absolutely. So awesome card. Yeah, I hadn't actually seen that one before, but definitely familiar with the name. So
yeah, got to get a Lions guy in there.
All right.
You said Unitas, so my Unitas pick is up now. Again, my kind of thing that I'm trying to feature here is that when you have cards of these guys that aren't their rookie cards, because a lot of the rookie cards are expensive, like Bart Starr's rookie card's expensive, second year card, super not expensive. So if you're willing to go away from the rookie card, this is a third year Johnny Unitas, 59 tops Unitas. This card is in a 6, and it's like really well centered, beautiful picture of him. I love the color, the red, blue, back and forth on the name. And this card in a 6 you can buy for, the last sale was $95. Third year John Unitas, 1959 in a 6.
That's
$95. It's insane to me.
It's crazy. I mean, he's a legend. Like,
yeah,
he's always talked about. He always will be. He was like the first great modern era quarterback. Right there.
Yep.
And
I think aesthetically, 59 tops is underrated. I know, Jeremy, you did a video on it not too long ago. I really like the look of 59 tops.
It just screams 50s. Just screams 50s.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I don't know. I'm curious as you guys are showing your cards to hear maybe why you think football cards aren't, as expensive. I mean, baseball, yeah, but they're just so cheap. Like, what's the reason? What am I missing?
I've got a couple theories on that we can talk about when we're done.
Yeah,
sure.
I'm interested.
Yeah. I think one thing that Jeremy and I would both echo is the fact, and I think this was a point that John Mangini actually made when responding to you maybe a year or so ago about how horrible professional football is at celebrating its past. I mean, baseball has Jackie Robinson Day. They trot out their greats all the time. The NFL, other than a couple of years ago for the 100-year anniversary, they just do not do much of that. And I think that's criminal because there's so many great players and great stories to be heard. And now that NFL Films isn't on anymore, I feel like when I was a kid, that's how I learned about this stuff. Now, that's not really a thing. So, yeah, I think the NFL really drops the ball. They're in a way that baseball doesn't. Baseball's awesome at that.
There have been a lot of years. Yeah. There have been a lot of years at the Super Bowl. They bring out all the past MVPs and line them up. It's at the coin toss and stuff. And a lot of kids learn about players from playing video games. And I feel like football, Madden has been really good about like all-time teams where you could be Gale Sayers and you can be, Johnny Unitas and stuff. Like, they're not as good as baseball. But the other thing I think we have to at least consider is football players, their bodies get so deteriorated from the sport that they're not super mobile. And so when they get older, you're like, it's like the year they wheeled out Ted Williams at Fenway for the All-Star game. It's like they're literally wheeling a lot of these guys because they're just so crippled from the sport.
Well, and to your point, I think there's some validity to that. But one thing I say is like some of these guys that are pre-Super Bowl era really get forgotten though. Like you mentioned Marion Motley. You know, I feel like, you know, one of the 4 guys to break the color barrier, Hall of Famer, top 100 player. I mean, how many casual football fans would really know the name Marion Motley, right? So it's like players I think you're right about the Super Bowl there, but pre-Super Bowl there, I think a lot of those guys get kind of left in the dust where, you know, everybody knows like Ty Cobb and Lou Gehrig and folks like that.
Well, completely ignored because you had so many people saying, oh, the Chiefs are going to possibly have the first ever three-peat in football, but that's not true. There were how many consecutive Super or NFL titles did like the Browns win there or then the Packers? I mean,
I mean, the Browns went to 10 straight.
Yeah.
You know, that's part of Otto Graham's legacy, you know. And I think Otto Graham got relevant again when Tom Brady was winning. Because I remember there was a time where because the Y.A. Tittle rookie cards in the 50 Bowman set, along with Otto Graham. And I remember for a while, those two were kind of like equally priced within a few bucks. Now the Graham is, you know, blown past it in terms of value. But yeah, you know, guys from that era just, I don't know, they're not talked about enough. It's really a shame. There's some cool stories out there to that people should, you know, go and check out for sure.
Oh yeah, it doesn't help too when they the way they've changed the stats. I mean that's what helps baseball so much is it's still kind of the same game mostly.
Yeah. You're hitting a pet peeve of mine when people start saying QBs from back then sucked because they only completed 50% of their passes. While defenders could drape themselves on the receivers back then. Like, completing 50% was pretty good.
Oh yeah. And you had to be a man to stay on the field back then.
Yeah.
And speaking of men, my next card, we were talking also previously about hard-hitting defensive backs. Now, this guy was such a lunatic warrior that in order to remain on the field, had half of his pinky finger amputated rather than having to go through surgery to put a pin in it and missing time. So he did regret that later, but in the moment, it's what he chose. You know, started his first few years as a cornerback, switched to free safety, and became one of the most feared players on the football field. Ronnie Lott.
Yeah.
Beautiful card.
I love Ronnie Lott. Great choice.
So, and
that 82 set
in this card, 20, 25 bucks, maybe.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That's a nice looking set too. 82 tops. I like it a lot.
Oh yeah, I love the kind of the shiny sheen to the helmet on there. Exactly. Even so, yeah.
That Montana card that year where he's on the phone on the sideline is hilarious.
Oh yeah, that one's kind of silly.
Yeah,
but there we go. All right, back around the horn.
All right, I'm going to go defense with this one. The card from the 60s, a really, really tough set of the 60s, one of a few. But I'm going to go with Dave Deacon Jones. This is his 63 tops rookie card. And anybody who's tried to find clean edged, clean cornered 63 tops knows what a challenge it is. Deacon Jones coined the term quarterback sack. And he's actually, if I remember correctly, he is credited unofficially because sacks weren't a stat. 173, I think, unofficial sacks, which would rank him third all time. This card, I believe, let me look at my notes.
And that was with 12 games this season, wasn't it?
Exactly, yeah. $60 for a 5.5. It's a little bit off center, but the edges and corners are nice and clean.
Well, that set is brutal on centering too.
Oh, it is. It's really, really, really rough.
Centering, chipping. Yeah, 63 tops is just tough all the way around.
Yeah, they did us dirty on that set for sure.
Mhm.
All right. Great choice of another guy that was fearsome on a football field. So, all right, Justin.
On the topic of brutal sets, I've got one from 62 tops, and I'm going to go with a guy who actually never played a down of NFL football, but I'll explain why here in a second. This is the 1962 tops rookie card of Ernie Davis. This is short print rookie from that set. Got that in an SGC4. And Ernie Davis, the reason I selected this card is he is the first African-American to win the Heisman Trophy at Syracuse. He was drafted by the Washington Redskins and immediately traded to the Browns, where he would have teamed up with Jim Brown had he been able to play. But unfortunately, he passed away from a rare form of leukemia before he was able to take a snap in the NFL. But if you go back and YouTube some of his college highlights, and I think there was even a movie made about him a few years back. I think it was called Express or something like that, the Ernie Davis story. If you go back and look at some of his highlights, he would have been a man in the NFL. He was a great back, great college player, first African-American player to win the Heisman. And this card is one that if you talk to people who are in the vintage football hobby, this is one that I think you definitely have a pretty strong opinion that it's one you have to add from this set. This is a really cool set too. I like 62 tops in general. In a 3, this is going to run you about $100. The 4, the one is probably just a bit over. But if you go a grade down, you can pick that up in a 3 for right around $100. And again, I think it's a pretty cool historical card to own.
Yes, it is. Great choice.
Yeah, I actually caught that movie. It was pretty good. So
yeah, I actually somehow have not seen it, but I need to because I love his story.
Oh. All right, good, another good pick there. All right, Greg.
So you're listing all the accomplishments of that player, and I'm sitting here holding my next pick, and I'm like, okay, outstanding college player, check. Movie made, check. I'm like going through this. I'm like, is it? But what was the other one? Oh, brutal set too. Brutal set. 69 tops. Gale Sayers. Love this card. Now, Gale Sayers is my number one vintage guy. I have his full run. I'm one player away on a few different players' runs, but Gale Sayers, I mean, obviously the movie Brian song. I thought about, well, should I go Brian Piccolo for my pick? This card is, to me, his best looking card. I think it's a gorgeous card. I think it's a recognizable card. And in a 6, which this one is a 6, $58. I think there's some beautiful cards in this set.
Crazy.
The Namath in this set is beautiful. The Unitas in this set is beautiful. There's just some gorgeous cards in this set. And I had to have a Gale Sayers pick. So this is my favorite Gale Sayers card and picture. So that's the one I went with here. Way under. And his rookie's 66. This is 69. So this would be his 4th card.
Yep.
So that's crazy.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have complained if you had the Piccolo next to it together. So I mean, and he's got Billy D. Williams playing him. Come on, that's so. All right.
That's Piccolo's rookie in that set too, isn't it? Yeah, that's right. 69 tops. So yeah,
it's got the red background instead of the pink.
Yeah. Very cool card.
All right, so my next pick that's under 100 is what I believe to be the finest all-around football player who's ever been on a field, and he got the most out of his body that he possibly could because he was probably the most obsessed person with being the best football player possibly ever as well. His workouts were legendary. He would, anybody that attempted to work out with him would be dying. And that's Mr. Jerry Rice.
Love it.
Wow.
iconic.
Love it. Yeah.
It's an iconic piece of cardboard right there.
I was at a card show this last weekend, and a guy had 4 raw ones sitting there, pretty good shape, and he was selling them for $40 each. And I'm like, gosh, it's Jerry Rice's rookie card, and they were pretty. I mean, they probably were like 7s. I'm just like, crazy.
It's crazy. Yeah. I mean, to have a prime that long, I mean, he just kept himself insanely in shape. I mean, and then he goes off and wins Dancing with the Stars too. Come on.
And not just the player, but that's one of those cards. I mean, we don't have as many of them in vintage football as, baseball collectors do, but that's one of those cards that I think anybody across the hobby, regardless what sport they collect, that one they'll recognize. That is just one of those cards that people know.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the crazy green and white stripe border. I mean, who knows what they were thinking with car design at that point? But yeah, it's all right. Oh yeah, we are on to final cards. These are our big card we're saving up for here. So
yeah, I actually had trouble with this one. I didn't know what to do, so I just went with the oldest one that I have.
all right.
Probably the first football star that we had. Went to Illinois. Had a brief and not very good acting career too. But this guy's also known as the Galloping Ghost, and that is the 33 Sport Kings.
Oh,
Red
wow.
Range.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Love that card.
Yeah, this is a very nice one. There's no there aren't any creases on this. I don't know why, nor do I care why it's a 1, but
So about how much would that put somebody back as, the entry level to that card there?
I mean, as you know, no grades are the same, and that is especially true with 1s. You can get a beater of a 1 for about $800-900. This one's probably going to run you 12 to 14 in this kind of condition. You get into the PSA 2s, you're talking, couple $1,000.
Our
You
good
guys
buddy
are familiar. Go ahead.
Our good buddy Darren, Return to Collecting, has bid and lost out on about 5 of those over the last couple of months. It's a big card.
Yeah.
They're super popular. Sport Kings are very popular.
Yeah.
This one, the seller had a buy it now on it that was over comps, and I'm like, screw it. I'm just going to pay it because I'm not going to get in a bidding war or end up losing, because I lose a lot too on these. So yeah, that's my, this is one you save up for. It was between this or the Namath. I think this is just, it's tougher to find, and it's Red Range. One of the, kind of one of the founding fathers of football.
And I love that leather helmet photo on there. That just really screams, early 20th century football.
Yeah, so
that's just a very cool photo.
Yeah, you guys are familiar with the YouTube Sports Card Hall of Fame thing, right? Where they have a football division. I'm pretty sure that was a first ballot.
It was.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, that and the Thorpe from the same set both got in on the first ballot.
Yeah. That's an awesome
is New Rockney the other one, the other football player in that set?
Thorpe and Rockney's in there too. Yeah.
Rockney also has a 35 Chickle card, so both of those are great cards of him.
Orlando bought that at the National this last year. Return to Collecting.
Right?
He bought
the Sport King or the Chickle?
The Chickle New Rockney. Yeah, really sharp. Yeah.
All right. Huge card to start off our final round. That awesome. So great one, Jeremy.
Thank you.
All right, Justin.
All right, so I tried to stay somewhat thematically along the same lines of picking stuff that maybe not everybody who's in the vintage football hobby would know as well, but by nature of it being a big card, people are still going to know it, but it's not quite up there with some of the most well-known football cards, but this one's from my favorite all-time vintage football set, so I had to get that in here. And we just talked about this guy a little bit ago, actually. Greg showed a card of him from 55 Topps All-American, 10 straight NFL championship appearances, the only other player other than Tom Brady to quarterback 7 world championship professional football teams, and that is Mr. Otto Graham. I love this card. This was the second ballot sports card, football card, Hall of Fame card. I think it finished 11th right off the ballot the first time. But I think 50 Bowman to me is just my all-time favorite set. I think it's gorgeous. I love Otto Graham's pose here. This was one that I probably wouldn't do this again, but I took a crack at this and bought it raw on eBay for $200. And it was a risk. And it was a while back when I kind of, didn't know what I didn't know, so to speak. So I was willing to take a chance. But it paid off, got a grade, nice 3.5. In this grade, this will run about 550 to 600. This one has some very nice centering on it. So it's for the grade in particular, no creases or anything like that. Registration could be a bit better, but I'm very happy to own this card. It's about 550, 600 in this grade. You start getting high grade, it's going to go up real fast. But yeah, I think this is one that has to be in any football collection. Best card from an iconic set, and again, just one of the great winners to ever play professional football. So that's my pick for my card that you got to save up for.
Great choice.
Good choice, Justin.
All right, Greg.
So I was saying before we hit record, I said I grabbed a stack of cards in case there were any duplicates, just in case.
Oh no!
And so I have that stack, and I'm like, you know what? It's the last round. John can't kick me off at this point. I'm just going to show all the cards in the stack because you just showed what would have been my pick, which is the autogram in a 3 here.
Sorry,
Again,
Greg.
to me, no, I love it. I love that you picked it. To me, if you're going to go one card from the 50s, it's either that card right there or it's this card right here. These are the 2 save-up cards for me from the 1950s. Yep. The Jim Brown rookie card and the autogram card. So I love that you picked it, because then that meant I got to show something else, which I was going to do anyway. I was going to cheat anyway. And then if you're going to get one card from the 60s, for me, it's this one. It's the Gale Sayers rookie card. So this is crazy. A Gale Sayers, this is a 5. I think it's a beautiful 5. It's 60-40 centering, maybe 65-35.
Very common with that.
Yeah.
What's that?
Very common with that, though.
Oh, yeah. Very hard to find it centered, right? This card sells for about $280 for Gale Sayers rookie card, 66 Philadelphia. Crazy to me.
You go down to those 3 in that card, it's almost at that $100 mark. I looked at it. It's only like about 125, 130 in a 3, which is
it's insane.
Bananas.
It's absolutely insane. So none of those are my pick. I'm gonna go. This is my chance to show 4 cards. So I'm going with the Johnny Unitas rookie. Now the Johnny Unitas rookie, it is a triple print, so it's cheaper than the Bart Star. The Bart Star is quite a bit more expensive. And you were mentioning the snow, which is also common on that 58 Jim Brown. This one has great color. It has great centering. It's a 3 because it's got a little crease right under where it says John. Other than that, it's like an 8.5. So thrilled to add that. So broke the rules, but that's okay.
You showed some cards that needed to be shown, though. Like, you can't not show the Unitas and Brown rookie.
If you're thinking about getting into vintage football, you really need pretty much every card we've shown, right? There's a couple you guys showed that I don't have. Like, I need a Van Brockman. There's a couple that you guys, and I was just, but this last round especially, everybody needs these cards.
Yeah, 100%.
Oh, I love it. Break the rules. Break the rules.
I knew that's what you were going for.
But the name it has to be shown. Yeah.
Now, what happened with that card? I do want to ask a question because I felt like as a kid, like that was right next to like 52 Tops Mantle in terms of football card
It
prestige.
is.
I personally think it is the 52 Mantle vintage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But hasn't the
really
Did a
price
video on
dropped
that.
off though? The relative it being more costly than other football cards though, hasn't that decreased?
Very expensive card.
It's
Very
still
expensive.
relative.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
If you even compare it to like the Jim Brown, you can get a Jim Brown and a 2 for still, like $700. A Namath and a 2 is going to cost you about 2,000.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the
I
name
guess
is
I
a
hadn't even
short
priced it
print,
out.
and it's a
And then
short
if you
print and
go-
it's a tall boy.
And then if you go to the butterfly variation,
Yeah.
the one then you're talking crazy money.
Yeah.
There, John's looking at me like I'm crazy. So there's a variation where there's a print mark on like his hand. You don't have one, do you?
No, I have
Oh.
but the print mark is right.
And
Would
it's
be
a little
right
print mark,
there.
and it looks like a butterfly.
Yeah.
And
so they
so
call it
it's
the butterfly variation.
yeah.
And that's
That
the
one's
thing
crazy
where it
expensive.
makes it super expensive because it's limited quantity.
Yeah.
There's a bit of desire for it, yeah.
Because the only
just
thing I
happy to
think
have
of
one.
similar to that is the partial diamond 55 Jackie, but that hasn't turned into that big of a thing. So, all right. I guess it's my turn for my last card. So, thank you for cheating, guys. So, all right. Well, you said that vintage football does not get enough airplay on YouTube, so I gave you some extra. So there you go.
Perfect.
All right. My last card, I'm pretty sure everyone could guess what's coming, considering all the cards I've shown.
I have a pretty good idea.
This would be the truly greatest quarterback in the history of football. And you can't argue against that with me. I won't believe it because that Brady guy never took the hits that this guy took that screwed his career. He didn't get hit by Jim Marshall that kind of derailed his 49er career. So so Joe Montana rookie card, which isn't nearly as nice apparently as Greg's dad's copy.
Oh my, yeah.
But not all of us can get a 9 in that card, and this one actually in a 6 barely exceeds the $100 criteria anyways. As it's around 120.
If you turn it upside down, it is a 9.
There you go.
My dad's was a 9, and then he resubmitted it, and it got a 10.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
You just talked about that on an episode the other day. I just heard that from you.
Yeah, it's
and
wild.
Just out of curiosity, I did peek real quick because I was checking the pricing on VCP, and that has quick access to at least PSA pop. This one's been graded 51,000 times by PSA. So, speaking of that quantity you were talking about, mass quantity earlier in the episode, yeah.
A lot of those are cracks and resubmits, though.
Yeah, probably. Which your dad has a couple of those, right? So
yeah, he does.
And there's probably at least another 10,000 or more in SGC. So, but
high pop or not, that and the Rice, and then I guess you'd have to add the Scoreberry Sanders. Those are to me the 3 big football cards of the 80s. When I think of 80s football cards, that Montana's right there at the top of the list. I don't care how many of them are graded. It's beyond iconic.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
The Lawrence Taylor is pretty iconic too.
Montana and Elway from '84.
Yeah. Marino.
Marino and Elway. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then it's kind of cool with the '88 Bo Jackson too.
Yep.
So,
yeah.
Considering what he did on this short time on the field,
is pretty cool.
I want to show one more card because I don't think this guy got enough love in our episode, and that's this Sammy Baugh, 52 Bowman Sammy Baugh. I think Sammy Baugh is a guy who changed the game and is somewhat forgotten, and And having a few Sammy Baugh cards in your collection, I think, is probably a pretty good thing to have too.
Yeah, I agree. I just got one in the mail today.
Oh,
nice.
Hold on, I gotta be your twin for a second.
I was frustrated that one's just over $100.
And then I got that one too.
I used to have more of these factoids at the top of my head, but as I get older, it all gets scrambled. Is he the one that's more credited with like the modern forward pass, or who is it? Okay.
Yeah. He was also a safety and a punter as well. Like he was an amazing quarterback, but he also he had 4 interceptions as a game as a safety. He punted. I mean, good call on that, Greg. One of the best all-around football players ever. His 50 Bowman card, which I think is his best looking card, it was this close to being able to show it. I have it in a 3, and I got it for $110, and it's right in that kind of just over 100 range, which is ridiculous.
I wouldn't have killed you if you showed it.
His 48 Bowman is the only card of his that I'm missing. It's the only one in the run is a 48 Bowman, and I put a bid on one yesterday. I made an offer to a guy, and he countered, and I'm just like, no, it's impossible to find it centered, but it's a super cool card. And my offer, it was a 3. It comps at like $170 in a 3 for his 48 Bowman rookie card.
I actually have a pretty well centered 3 of that 48 Bowman rookie card. My card room, as you can see, is a work in progress. We just moved recently, so my card room is my closet, so I just can't pull stuff like you guys are. But I wish I had that one to show you because I love that 48 Bowman set, and I love the ball in there. So I hope you can land one soon.
I gotta also throw this out there. Most of my friends are all baseball card collectors, so I don't get to nerd out with football card guys very often. So this has been a lot of fun for me, where I get to kind of go, yes, I've kind of gotten excited. I'm like, oh yeah, I really do need that card. I need that card. It's like got me excited because there's not a lot of that football card camaraderie, unfortunately. So this has been very fun for me.
Yeah, I echo your thoughts. It's been great, and there's not a lot of it out there. It's nice to talk about it with people.
Well, any more thoughts on that whole topic of it being way too cheap, or?
I don't mind it being way too cheap. Like it's, because one of the big things, I mean, I'm fortunate that football does happen to be my favorite sport anyway, but it's just nice to be able to build a very iconic collection, right? Because as vintage collectors, we like to have those cards that seem like they're iconic, ties to history. And in football, it's just so easy to pick those up for a reasonable price. So I don't mind it being cheap because, I love vintage baseball cards, but it's like, man, if I start going down that rabbit hole, I'm going to, I only have 2 goals in the hobby: put together a great collection and not get divorced. If I start going down that vintage baseball rabbit hole, I'm afraid I won't achieve that second one. So I don't mind it being cheap. Honestly, it's kind of nice.
It is. I mean, outside of the rookie cards of some of the iconic players, there aren't a lot of expensive cards from the 40s on. Now you talk about Sport Kings and Schickles. Yeah, those are expensive, but you can get a second-year Sammy Baugh for $130. You can get a second-year Graham for $100. It's you go into the 70s, you can get a second-year Staubach for like $40. Yeah, high grade.
But even the Chickles, like if you think relative to pre-war baseball, I mean, you can pick up Hall of Fame rookies from the Chickles set in nice grade for under $300, which is still just incredible.
And the other part of it is the populations are just minuscule compared to baseball, so it's like they're cheaper and they're way more scarce. Yet they're still that much cheaper, which tells you what the demand level's at. If the demand ever changes much at all, they have a lot of upside because the demand must be so low right now, I guess, because just again, pop report of a card like even this autogram rookie compared to a 1950 Jackie Robinson or something, a 1950 Larry Doby. It's just like that one is maybe a little higher because everyone has been graded at this point.
That autogram, I think the PSA pop's only a little over 1,000.
Yeah, that's nuts.
That's nothing.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess what is going to create more demand though? Because they don't, like we were saying, they don't really celebrate the past enough as a league. And anytime you put up like modern records, you get the oldest player on that list is like Marino, that's even left on the quarterback list. So,
Well, my hypothesis has always been that what happens is kids collect cards, then they leave the hobby, then they come back to the hobby. And when they come back to the hobby, they buy legends from the sport that they collected as a kid. And if that happens, all the kids right now are collecting football. So if they come back to the hobby and then they go backwards and collect the legends of the sport, then they're not going to, I don't think they're going to suddenly go from collecting modern football to vintage baseball. They're going to go from modern football that when they get back into it, they're going to buy Jim Brown. They're going to buy Otto Graham. They're going to buy Johnny Unitas. They're going to buy Bart Starr. Those are the guys I think, I really do believe if you fast forward in time, it's the same thing with like, vintage toys. Like vintage toys from the early 80s are worth a lot of money right now because guys our age are like, oh man, I remember that Star Wars toy. I want that thing back. And the demand goes way down and then it comes back once we get to our age. I mean, we're all within, the same approximate age. That's where it happens. So I think it's time. I just think the difference was a few years ago, everyone collected baseball cards, but right now everyone's collecting football cards.
I agree with that. Yeah,
I agree with that, and I'll add there. You don't need a whole much more demand because the pop is so low.
Yeah.
Just a little bit of a bump in demand is gonna, it's supply and demand, right? It's economics 101. So the demand won't have to increase much for there to be not enough supply to keep up with it.
Yeah. And I don't think there's anything substantively different about this generation than others. I mean, I hear people kind of our age, say, oh, but this generation doesn't care about history, blah, blah, blah. Well, I feel like a lot of young people in my generation, 25 years ago also didn't care about history. And then as you get older, you just get more of an appreciation for that. So I think I agree with you, Greg, definitely that people will start working back as they start to get in those late 30s, 40s, area. And, we'll see, but I definitely agree with your hypothesis.
I just hope I'm alive.
So just one other question, not knowing a ton about the vintage football. So it was mentioned like the Namath, comparable to like the 52 tops in terms of prestige. Whereas, entry into a 52 tops mantle is $30K. The Namath is like $2K. What are the big dollar, like older cards? And
that's the biggest one from the era of the 40s to now. I mean, I'm not talking about the Brady contenders. It's like,
oh yeah, forget that stuff.
Yeah.
The biggest vintage ones,
like, is the Thorpe cost more than that, or
the Honus Wagner?
Yeah, the Chickle set has 3 or 4 really big cards. Then a Gursky's probably the biggest.
Definitely.
Those 3 from the Sport Kings. I mean, you could go way back to the Goodwin Champion set. There's that Beecher card is a big card, even in a 1.
That's
That's gone way up.
That expensive a couple years ago. I should have snagged one when I could because that's like $5,000, $6,000 for a 1 now for that Beecher.
Yeah, and then our buddy Orlando, he's got one of the anonymous Mayo Cut Plug
he does.
cards. That's like the Honus Wagner. There's like 20 of them out there. I think his might be authentic altered or something, but again, they don't exist.
The fact that he has one.
Yeah, is unbelievable. And then, John, when we get to Strongsville, if you haven't met Don yet, I'll have to introduce you to Don. Don is like got an incredible football card collection, and I even reached out to him. I haven't even mentioned this before, but I'll mention it now. I reached out to him a couple months ago about having him on my channel and just talking about vintage football because he's the guy in vintage football of anybody I've ever met. And his collection is unbelievable. Orlando says he has the best vintage football collection in the world. That's what Orlando says. And Orlando's vintage football collection is amazing. So, yeah.
So for just a little context, because we just threw a bunch of cards out at the wall there, and maybe people don't know some of why those would be so expensive. The 35 Chickle Nagurski, it's a short print from that 35 Chickle set, and he's also a Hall of Famer. And that one in a one's going to run you about like 15K, something like
15 to 20 grand, yeah.
Yeah. The Beecher, which is just, his name's Harry Beecher, but on the card it just says Beecher from the 1888 Goodwin Champ set. That card is cool because it is the first known football card we have, and that's why that was so expensive for a guy that he didn't even play professionally. I don't think his card is a college card from when he played at Yale. So for some
one of the cool things about that card is the football doesn't look like a football does now. It's more like a rugby ball.
Yeah,
it's maybe even more round than a rugby ball, which shows you the evolution of the sport into the passing game, where the ball had to change to be able to throw it. That's a very cool card.
It's a super cool card. It's probably, that and the Nagurski are the ones I'd most like to own, but I don't have right now. But I don't. It won't happen anytime soon. But those are awesome cards.
Well, FYI, the master pop count of the Wagner is 54. So that one you're saying is in the 20s is even rarer. So,
yeah, I don't know the exact number. Do you guys know the exact number of the anonymous?
It's sub 54. I would certainly say that it is lower than that. Exactly, but it's lower than that. But yeah, so the reason for that one, it was in the 1894 Mayo Cup Plugs college set, and they messed up and didn't put a name on the card, and when they realized it, they stopped printing it. So that's why there's so few of the anonymous card. I can't remember. Do you remember, Jeremy, the guy's actual name? They figured out who it was at some point, but I don't remember his name at present.
I don't know if it ever got validated that was his name. I know that there was something done a while back where they kind of figured it out, but yeah,
I'm pretty sure they figured it out. I don't know it offhand. I'm pretty sure because I want to say in some of the descriptions and stuff of it, it even says the name. It says anonymous, and then it says the name in parentheses or something.
Now I have to Google it tonight.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for coming on. Give everybody a chance for one last word to everybody out there. You want to start us, Jeremy?
Yeah. Thanks everybody for watching. If you like vintage football, check out my YouTube, Lefty Groveland Cards. I also do some vintage baseball. I'm more into the 40s, 50s, 30s, Lefty Grove, obviously, Whitey Ford, pitchers and catchers mainly, but football is kind of my jam right now. I post three to four times a week. Videos are usually, 7 minutes to 20 minutes. Justin knows how wordy I can be, so they sometimes
in a good way though
drag on for a little while. But yeah, love for you guys to come check out my channel. Like and sub if you want to. If not, no hard feelings. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, it's great to have you. Once again, link will be down below for your convenience. Justin, what do you got to say?
So, John, first of all, big thanks to you. Quite honestly, I was extremely surprised when you emailed me back not having a channel or anything like that. So to get the opportunity to just come on and talk hobby with you guys who I watch so regularly and comment on your channels, this was just really, really cool for me. So I appreciate it. Vintage FB52 on Instagram. I post almost every day, wide variety. I'd say 70% vintage football, 20% modern football, and 10% vintage boxing. Gone down that rabbit hole a bit on there. So if that's your thing, go ahead, follow me, reach out on there. Someday I hope to have a channel. When that will be, who knows? But I appreciate the opportunity to come on and do this. I really do. Thank you.
Oh, great to have you. So thanks for joining. Greg, you want to finish us off here?
Yeah, I think choppy because my video got choppy there for a second, but I'll do my best to hopefully you'll understand what I say. I just want to say thanks to John for including me. When you think all cards, the fact that I'm even in the conversation or mentioned, I appreciate. You guys have awesome collections, so I had a lot of fun doing this. So thanks for having me on. Oh,
great to have you. So, everybody, once again, check out the channel links down below. And everybody, once again, if you want to be up on this screen, all you got to do is reach out. As you can see, you can have a channel. You don't have to have a channel. All you got to have is a love for cards, and you can be one up here with us. So, 4collectors@yahoo.com, and I'll get you in the queue, and you'll be up here filming an episode at some point. So, everybody, thank you for watching, and we will see you next time.
Welcome to 4 Collectors.